Hey there, this is Cassandra from the Water Trio, and I'm joined here by the lovely Alicia and Kelly. And we're going to be discussing the astrology of the week beginning January 14. So let's just cut to the chase, shall we? Which aspects are we going to talk about this week?
Well, I'm renaming the Sun South Node, which is happening on Wednesday the 16th at 26 Cap in Canada and the States, and that'll be Thursday the 17th.
17th, yeah.
In Australia. I'm renaming the Sun South Node energy the Marie Kondo aspect because I think it's all about, the South Node's about releasing and letting go, and many of us will be doing this at an emotional and a spiritual level. But I know so many of us are also going to be doing it at a practical level with things like decluttering. And Marie Kondo, the author of The Life-Changing I've been mentioning this almost in every video call this month with the Sun in the South Node sign. There's a new documentary or show based on her book that's just come out on Netflix. So if you've no idea what I'm talking about, just jump on Netflix, watch episode 1, and I dare you to not want to do some cleaning or purging of your own. So I've definitely got my eye on that aspect midweek, but what about you guys?
Well, now that you mention that, I have to mention the dear Gordon White from Rune Soup. So for any of those who are into astrology and magic, Gordon White is the guy. And so we were just talking on Twitter earlier, and he made a tweet about, if you're looking for a bargain at your local op shop or thrift store or whatever you call them, next week is the time to go and capture yourself like a Jupiter-Venus bargain when everybody's doing the clean out. And so if you are a bit of a secondhand shopper, I think it'll be a good time to go down to your local Vinnies and see what you can pick up.
100%. That's such a good point, because I don't know, I just feel so much at the moment with things like the sun going over the South Node. We're going to have other planets this month like Mercury, and later in 2019 even Saturn going over the South Node. It just feels like getting rid of old stuff, whether it's physical stuff or emotional congestion. It's just that sense of wanting to clean and clear. I'm a pretty big declutterer from way back, but I feel it even more strongly at the moment than ever before. But yeah, what else are you guys interested in this week? Or Alicia, have you thought about this one?
Well, just also one of the things I love about Marie Kondo is she talks about how what the things to keep are the things that bring you joy.
Yes.
And I feel like it's such a beautiful balance between, that Saturn and Capricorn energy and that Jupiter and Sag energy that we've got happening. And Venus in Sag at the moment too is really simplifying things down and getting rid of the clutter to really those things that lighten your life, bring you joy, bring you peace, bring you beauty, and bring you, and the freedom as well that comes with a house that's minimalist. We try to do the same. I think my Aquarius husband would actually literally like to throw out every piece of furniture and sit on the floor on cushions. I can't handle that, but yeah, it's stuff out of the house. And I feel like when you do it physically, you also do it energetically. And it's the flow that's able to come in when you're not, imagine walking through a room that's cluttered with furniture as compared to a room that's a lot more open and has a lot more light. I feel like it's going to happen on physical, mental, and emotional levels as well as spiritual.
So, that's just a thing for all Cancerians out there that have hoarding tendencies. Clean up, except for me, of course. I have Virgo on the IC. I like it Spartan. But yeah, no, I do notice some, in the consultations and things that I've had this week, I've actually had conversations with clients who have strong Cancer charts, and they know they've got to get rid of things. They know that time is up, or that sentimental piece no longer holds that value, but they're just struggling to let it go. So yeah, it's going to be challenging for some of us, but once you get pushed through that, then it's kind of liberating ultimately. And it allows room for the things that are, the Jupiter stuff, what's bigger, what's better, what's more.
Absolutely. What's even more meaningful to come in, because it's so easy to sneak in $50 on books or clothing here and there and not realize, that you've got 65 black t-shirts or something, which is clearly my preferred analogy for excessive shopping. So obviously I have too many black t-shirts.
And very satin as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, and for teaching and presenting, I always find, there's a lot of heat that's generated in the body when you're presenting. So I always like to go for a dark colored top to maintain a professional image.
Don't like sweat patches, Kel?
No, I'm self-conscious enough. The other thing this is just reminding me is the Sun conjunct one of the nodes also means that we're halfway through the eclipse season. And so this midweek, the 16th, 17th, is the midway point in our current eclipse season. So 3 weeks prior and 3 weeks after this date is our eclipse season. It's about 6 weeks all up. And any new or full moon in that time frame becomes an eclipse. So this is a nice crossing point that we are in the thick of maybe the eclipse vortex this week. But as we head into the week after, for next week, that will settle down a little bit, or at least we start to move out of the eclipse, the full intensity of the eclipse piece.
And so about the eclipse, Kel, and interested in your thoughts too, Alicia, now that we're post the first eclipse that just happened a few days ago on the weekend. So how are you guys post eclipse, or any notable happenings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it bad that I can't even remember back that far?
It feels like it, hey. It's like that strange vortex. And it is an unusual time. Like, you know how Christmas, New Year, that week has a feel to it. And I always find that time between eclipses is almost that New Year, the Christmas, New Year feel. It's like, what day is it? Where am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? It just has... It's not something that I've ever been able to fully articulate or put my finger on, but there's a feel to it. Like for me personally, I find my psychic senses are like Spider-Man-like, eclipsey time, just weird happenings, coincidences. I go to text somebody and I open up my WhatsApp and they're texting me, for example, just crazy things like that. So, I was just interested to explore now that we're in that, there's no eclipses this week, of course, but we are in the season and they are poignant times.
Yeah, I did get clarification about what to do, I was supposed to do a full day workshop when I was in Sydney, and I was just having some internal stuckness around, picking the topic and even just moving forward with organizing the logistics, which is highly unlike me. So I had a bit of an honest conversation with myself over the eclipse weekend and just realized that I didn't have the strong drive to do it. So I just decided not to do it. And I hadn't, announced it or anything. So it's not like I had to pull things back, but it was just being really honest with that idea of less is more. And, this recent eclipse, the new moon eclipse, solar eclipse in Capricorn was on the South Node. And I think, we will have North Node eclipses. The Leo eclipse coming up January 21st is closer to the North Node, more about moving forward, more about accumulation or maybe adding things in. But certainly, we're still in this very South Node-y part of the eclipse season. So that idea of letting go. And I was trying to think, what did we actually do on eclipse weekend? Now, it was in my 11th house. I've got a Capricorn 11th house. So we actually had a really full weekend of friend activities, which was lovely. And I basically didn't have that over the holiday season. But on Sunday afternoon, my husband and I sat down and we actually went through all of our Christmas decorations. We were taking down our Christmas tree. And just because we are in this larger decluttering process, we literally Marie Kondoed and put all of the Christmas decorations in the one room. And we went from 3 boxes of Christmas crap down to 1. And we just either donated or chucked out stuff. So I guess that's a very Capricorn South Node eclipse type thing.
Mm.
What about
you, Alicia?
Yeah, that was a pretty big cup. It was smack bang opposite my Saturn in 4th. So it was a struggle for me. It was a real struggle around some old family patterns that happened. And yeah, there were tears. I'll be honest about that. But I feel like I've also managed to step into a new place of maturity and a place with strong boundaries. And I'm really able to go forward knowing, being more conscious of those patterns and those drives that were going on. Fourth house can be that place of hidden things, or where you keep things in the cellar of yourself. So I guess that shone a light kind of down there for me. And also about where I self-limit myself. So I have wanted to use it about releasing stuff, and it was just letting go of my lack of trust, actually, and all the need to be in control all the time. So we'll see what happens with that. I guess those are more shadow sides of Capricorn. So it's letting go of the shadow side of Capricorn and stepping into a whole new way of just allowing that flow in, but still within a good structure. So that was the eclipse for me. How about you, Cass?
Excuse me, Capricorn is my 8th house. So I spent a whole lot of money over the weekend.
I love it.
Booking flights and paying bills and things like that. So, and that, those flights don't even count my ones to the US for May yet. That was just the interstate portion of things. But I actually wrote a blog post about this whole eclipse, and not that these things happened sort of close to the eclipse, it was sort of in the lead up, but what the eclipse, I guess, kind of brought awareness to, or backlit in a sense, being in the 8th house, so it's in aversion to me from my ascendant, is it kind of forced me to become aware of the reality of the choices that I'd made. So I'd had a few issues that happened unrelated to each other, but because they happened in close succession, it kind of all came at me. So some of them were choices I made 2 years ago, and I knew that certain things were inevitable, but it's, and this is the thing sometimes with Capricorn, you can strategize, you can plan, you can get the process stuff down pat, but it's not until you actually live it and experience it, you do the stuff that Capricorn doesn't do. And that's how it feels.
Feel it.
And so, so that's kind of how it was. And because I'm a Cancer, so of course, I'm like trying to not be all Capricorn about it and allow myself to feel it. So, and that's just basically what happened. It was just facing the reality of, some different yet kind of related choices that I made. And I just had to do that. But, nothing actually happened. I was just in the writing den, which I still am. I'm just doing a massive writing project right now. So it was just basically bum on my seat and doing work, Capricorn. So
I love that, Cass. And I'm struck by all of our experiences with the eclipse were very described or symbolized by the natal house that the Capricorn eclipse fell in. So Leash, you were dealing with family of origin stuff, which is definitely 4th house. I was dealing with some friendship stuff, 11th. And Cass, I love when you talked about the 8th house where you were sort of paying bills and things, because I think people often get worried when they're getting transits or activations in their 8th house. But often what I find with 8th house stuff, I just pay all my bills. Like even each month when the moon moves through my 8th house, I sort of naturally gravitate towards, where am I up to date? Who do I owe money to? Or what do I need to kind of settle an account with? And so that's actually a really kind of productive use of 8th house stuff.
It's just like, was this all weekend?
Yeah. Sending the money out. Yeah.
So, paying bills, and also facing some of the fears and anxieties I had, around certain things. And, Capricorn, just here's the reality. It is 100%. What it is. It's black and white. And so I just stayed in hibernation and, crawled back into my shell for a little while.
And it's good to tune into our Capricorn stuff, because this is the last week with the Sun in Capricorn for 2019. So on Sunday the 20th, the Sun will move into Aquarius. And so next week is sort of a new week, but it's actually a whole new astrological month, which we'll be talking more about in next week's episode. But just for everyone to be aware, this is the last week with the Sun in Cap. which also means the sun is going to make its last square to Uranus in Aries.
Yes.
Friday the 18th, Saturday the 19th. What do you guys think about that one?
Well, I feel like, the sun spent the last month traveling through Capricorn, and it's been, there's so much in Capricorn, as we've talked about, and it's been picking up these little stories and beaming them down to us, when it was conjunct Saturn, then it was conjunct Pluto, then it's conjunct the South Node. And now it's like, okay, I feel like it's almost like when I was traveling in the Middle East and I'd be leaving a country and you just hit this last security point. I was like, oh God, what's going to happen now? Have we got everything okay? Am I wearing the right thing? Have I got, the right passport in place with the right visas? It's like that last shock that may happen, that may stop you, or a hurdle you have to climb over to be able to get through to the other side. So, there was one particular, I won't go into the details of it, but literally, we were out of the car, men with guns, all that kind of stuff. And they weren't pointing them at us, but, it's one of those situations where you're like, what the hell's going to happen here? I've got absolutely no idea if I'm going to be going back into the car that I was in, or if I'll be going off into a police car and heading off to, a different part of the security, to the customs gate. So yeah, the joys of traveling in the Middle East. But everything was fine and it all worked out well. But it was that, I guess it's that eclipsey feeling too, of that shock and that we've been talking about. It kind of adds in even more to that.
And that's, I guess, just to add a layer to that, Alicia, for the people who are listening who are in the US, us as Australians, we don't do guns. So to be in that presence of men with guns, it's like, oh shite, things are a bit serious here. So yeah, just to kind of put it in context, it's not part of our everyday it's not part of everyday lifestyle in America too, but it is more so.
In some parts of the it kind of is.
Yeah, totally.
I remember a few years ago, Peter and I, my husband and I, were driving down to, I think we were driving down to the Carolinas on like a March break, get out of Canadian cold. And we stopped partway down to stay overnight at a, hotel motel for dinner. And we're at breakfast the next morning. There's kids running around the dining room and, we're going up to the buffet and stuff. And I sort of, just out of the corner of my eye, I saw a gentleman with a gun on his hip. And I just sort of stopped dead in my tracks because as an Australian who's lived in Australia, it's I don't think I'd ever seen, obviously he had a license to carry it and it's legal and everything, but it was just that sense of, this is not what I'm used to seeing.
And I had a similar thing at UAC. Yeah, we went one night there. I think it might have been like maybe night 2 or 3. So we just voyage to the unknown and go down a few blocks beyond the Magnificent Mile. And because I didn't sort of really forward plan that I would be going on this adventure, I didn't have it with me. So we get to this bar and they're very strict with checking IDs and what have you. And despite my accent, despite being super friendly, she just wasn't going to let me in. And I was like, yeah. And I said to, the rest of the bunch that I was with, oh yeah, no worries. I'll just go back to the hotel, grab my passport. No big deal. So I started to kind of like go. And then, one of the fellow Aussies, Josh, he turns around and he goes, you can't go by yourself, Cass. And I'm like, why not? And just sort of, and he goes, they've got guns here. And then we looked around and we could, now that I was actually honing in, because I was just in my Jupiter rising bubble, right? And I was like, oh yeah, these look like kids and they've got guns. And so, so he came back to the room with me, we got the passport, we got back to the bar. But it was just one of those moments where I was like, I'm not in Kansas anymore. And I just sort of, it kind of like, I wouldn't say shattered my confidence, but I had to just be mindful that, do not make eye contact with anybody. Just, blinkers on and just go straight. And it's a different feel. So yeah, that's a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I guess
I was like, how did you get here again, but I was like, oh, this is
eclipses.
it's the whole idea of being, because you were
different.
telling about your Middle East story, like being in an environment where the cultural norms or even the laws about what's safe, not safe, okay, not okay, are just different from what you're used to or what you're familiar with. And each of us have described situations where, you know, things were different from our experience and we weren't sure whether that we were okay with that or we were a little bit more on guard. And I think this is a really good way of drilling into the Sun-Uranus energy, which is being a little bit outside your comfort zone, having that feeling of being a little bit of a stranger in a strange land and not sure how to acclimatize to what is acceptable in wherever you happen to be. So there's like a curiosity, but maybe a wariness as well about what's different and how you feel about it.
Yeah. And it's also a good leap.
Sorry, Liz.
Yes. No, you go, Cass.
There is the excitement component too with Uranus. Like it's probably not going to be enough to stop you because let's face it, Uranus, you just can't stop. Once its energy is there, it's present. There's no holding back from it.
No.
So we're still going to do what we're going to do, but perhaps be aware of, you know, the shock as opposed to the surprise.
Yeah. And I feel like it's also a good leap into, well, a doorstep into the moon. I can't even speak now. I'm still in the Middle East, into the sun moving into Aquarius. And, you know, we're traditional astrologers. So yes, Saturn definitely still rules Aquarius for us, but there still is that more of a component with Aquarius where things are different, things are unusual, and you can feel like, you know, you are a stranger in a strange land. So as the sun moves into there the next day, you know, what are your thoughts about that, girls, and what we'll be doing?
It'll just be nice to have a house focus shift. So it takes all that Capricorn, wherever that is for you. And then we've just got a little bit of, I mean, still a Saturn energy there, but there's definitely, you know, looking a little bit, you know, further out or further beyond with the Aquarius component. So I am looking forward to just having that little bit of a shift. And then of course we'll have, you know, Mercury will follow suit soon thereafter. So that'll just be, just get us out of that heaviness. It'll just lighten it up a little bit. And then of course those planets therefore make a nice sextile to Jupiter. So it will be just that little bit more casting out beyond rather than being stuck in Capricorn.
Yeah, that's one of the things I'm really looking forward to with the sun leaving Capricorn is that Capricorn's a bit of a heavy duty sign right now with Pluto in the South Node and Saturn there. I'd like to have the sun, the main kind of vital force or life-giving planet. I'd like to have that in a different sign from all of those very kind of heavy or, you know, they're kind of, well, the Saturn has a depressing quality. And so, yeah, I'm happy for the sun to leave behind the wild, dark woods of Capricorn. And yeah, I always think too about that shift into air and the curious, collaborative, kind of more connection-focused energy that can come through, which, you know, we're going to be tapping into with our Sydney event at the end of January. But I do like the Sun in Aquarius month. It's going to highlight a different house in your chart, and that can be, you know, light or dark depending on the chart. But it's just a generally lighter energy. And as you said, Cass, we will get the sun coming up to sextile Jupiter, certainly by sign for the whole time the sun is in Aquarius. And my cat Merlin is...
And even Mars for a point, you know, for a big chunk of that time as well.
Yes, exactly. Well, and speaking of Mars, there is one aspect we flagged about Mars this week. Venus will trine Mars. Yeah.
Sure will.
What are you guys thinking about that?
Fire, bring it. I love fire. I love it. It can be all-consuming and suffocating, but it's exciting, it's motivating, it's encouraging, and I love it. So I'm just going to say that.
I think that's fantastic.
Somebody has a fire sign descendant, so of course I love fire. I love people who bring that quality in. And, you know, it's just going to be such a welcome relief after all this Earth, after all this Saturn, just to have something that is supportive and inspirational and quite elevating, looking forward to what's possible, what can be done, without the sort of restrictive vibe to it. I mean, here's me getting all excited about it, and I was just having conversations earlier going, oh, do I work or do I go out and have a good time, So, we probably know what's going to end up happening. But yeah, that's so that is that's my take on it. So it's just really going to bring whatever the the house that rules Aries for you, whatever house rules Jupiter for you, there's going to be that lovely flow, that lovely connection moving through. So I think it's great. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, progress, action, positivity, motivation, encouragement, and support, and even just from that real kind of Astro 101, Mars and Venus working together is always lovely. Just there's flow, there's collaboration, there's being on the same page with, somebody else. So that's always really nice.
Yeah. I feel like, whenever Venus and Mars touch, but especially with this harmonious trine, Venus cools down Mars and, adds a charm and a diplomacy, whereas Mars warms up Venus. And so her, she's more active and she's more able to get out there and do things. And especially happening in these two fire signs, as you described, Cass, it really will be on the go. And it's interesting that it's happening. So in the States, it's Friday the 18th, isn't it? So it's on Venus's day. For us here in Australia, it's on the 19th early in the morning. So yeah, it's just, I feel like there's going to be more to do on that Venus day, more happening, and just shaking your tail feather, really. That's what it makes me think about. Get out, go dancing. That'd be the perfect night to grab the girlfriends and go out dancing, maybe flirt a little bit, because we know Venus in Sag loves a flirt. So yeah, that's my take on it.
I love it. I agree with everything you guys are saying, because it is Venus in Sag, trine Mars in Aries. It's got adventure. It's got a little bit of confidence, a bit of courage. There's a boldness. Like, why wouldn't we try? Why not? Let's do it, kind of thing. So it's definitely a fun aspect to take into the weekend. So yeah, dancing, being physically active, being proactive in the love and romance game. Whether you're single or you've got a partner, it's definitely a flirty, fun and affectionate energy. Which can be great for time with friends. It can be great for, exciting stuff with family, but it's really good in that romantic space. So that's definitely a fun aspect to make the most of this week.
Yeah, especially because I'm really naming this week the week of Capricorn. So it kind of, it's one of the light up moments. So yeah, definitely get out, enjoy that Friday night wherever you are.
Fantastic. Any extra thoughts for this episode, gals?
Not from me.
Not from the astrological perspective. I think we've covered the bulk of it. We've had a few nice segues. We've had a little bit of chitty chat. So, which it's probably
tangents.
maybe
with guns.
The Eclipse episodes will be a little bit like that, because I've said this before. I'm always quite proud of how on track we stay with these podcasts. So, I guess in vein of that, is there anything that you ladies would like to mention or promote? You're going to be en route. You're traveling around, Kel, heading to Seattle, aren't you, next week?
Yeah, this week that this episode will drop, I'll just be leaving Seattle and heading to Portland for a few days of kind of R&R/preparation. And then I'm teaching my retreat, which is sold out in Palm Springs the weekend of the 18th to the 20th, which is really exciting. So that's what I've got coming up this week. I probably should say that my next group mentoring is now open for registration. We start Friday, March the 1st, but it is limited space. So for those of you who might be interested in that, whether you've done it before or if you've got questions, you can email me or you can sign up on the website. What about you girls?
Alicia?
Nothing. No, I'm still head down, bum up. I've just got client consults. So for anyone that's looking for a reading, I think, actually I will have some openings by the end of that week. I'm fully booked up until the 20th, but yeah. And I'm just working on my website. So I'm still trying to use that Capricorn energy right up until the end.
Well, myself, I am in the middle of quite a massive writing project right now with a company based out of Canada. So I'm enjoying that process. So this episode will see me, we're talking about next week. So I'll be kind of in Canberra at the end of this week. And so if anybody is listening from Canberra, please feel free to connect with me. I'd love to catch up with you for a coffee or maybe a wine, and
more likely a wine.
I'm trying to be good. Mars and Pisces, I did a little damage around the waistline, so back into the powerlifting and the macro tracking. It's Jupiter, Saturn. It's the paradigm, right? So I'm just trying to be back on the wagon. So yeah, I'll be in Canberra that week. Consulting, doing a bit of this, a bit of that. So that'll be wonderful. But apart from that, yeah, I'm just really doing the Capricorn thing to head down, bum up, as we would say in Australia, and just being a word machine.
Love it. Love it.
And then, of course, we've got our triage of water, 30th of January. So the three of us going to be in Sydney, Crow's Nest, and we are going to be talking about the astrology of 2019. So it's going to be a really fun workshop-y connection, looking at how the astro plays out with your life and the year ahead, working this Saturn Jupiter stuff. So making the most of what's coming up, planning, prepping, all of that jazz.
Fantastic.
So tickets, how are the tickets going? I haven't looked. We've probably still got some available, but they are selling out pretty fast. So yeah, jump on. I don't know, what is the website to get on? I know I've got it on the homepage of my website, cassandratingle.com.
It's on Eventbrite. You can
always follow the link. So it's Eventbrite. And
so people jump onto Eventbrite and search for the Water Trio. They'll be able to find it.
Yeah, and depending on where you're listening to the show, you might see in the show notes, we'll have the link there as well, just underneath.
Okay, cool.
Fantastic.
Alrighty. Over and out, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Until next week. Bye.
See you later.